Hello, everybody. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. This is going to be a real interesting story, and I'm just going to jump in here. I'm going to name it MLM and Organized Prostitution, and I think you're just going to find this super fascinating, backed up with lots of evidence worthy of being investigated by law enforcement. And I'm going to do it like normal on my Facebook here. Where I posted it, and then I use the comments to post a proof picture, write a couple paragraphs, post a picture, backing it up so you can understand what I'm doing. So I have a long write up here, and I'll post that with it, but I'm just going to get down here. This is what I was showing you there when I started, and we're going to see this as I read through here, and I'll show you basically what that means, because that's a compilation of different Facebook posts. Let's start at the top. Okay. In October 2010, my friend Angie Mungia Herrley told me about a young girl that was murdered at a party that she was at, happening during the Permian Basin International Oil Show. That's a big convention that comes here, and it's real famous for their parties. And so here I have just basically screenshots that I took, captured different people's statements, and law enforcement could, talk to these people, subpoena Facebook. Did you, was that, in your database? Yes, it was. Did you say that? Yes, I did. Because of everything I said is the truth, right? It's backed up with this proof. This isn't hearsay, this right here, that I took a screenshot of what they said, it's not Buddy said Chris Reed said. No, it's not Buddy said. It's Chris Reed posted this on the internet in the public, and this guy, he's saying, when I first moved to Midland, I was working for a multi-billion-dollar oil company. I remember hearing talk of these huge secret parties, okay? Tisha Ann Wilkinson Brumley here says, I've had friends and family and been involved in those oil show parties. They are exactly what you say. They are underground homes, okay? My sister used to do the oil show parties, and I got close to them before she shut that down. Jessica Lee Hadley said, I have been to 2,000 oil field shows, and I tell you what, there's more than just that one girl that was murdered or raped because she didn't do whatever they wanted her to do. And then my friend Victoria McKinney, the late Victoria, she says, I know someone who's brutally raped at the show years ago. That was enough for me to stay away. And then she told more about that. And so these parties here are famous. They're put on by wealthy oil men, and and of course it's hush hush, and I think the press covers it up for them and hides it. Let's don't talk about that. Whatever, because of the crime, and, that's what I'm showing you here. In 2013, the remains of a 14 to 21-year-old girl was found outside of Midland. So Angie tells me about a young girl being murdered at a party going on during the 2010 oil show, right? And then here in 2013, a year and a half later, the remains of a young girl, 14 to 21 years old, are found outside of Midland. There's Crime Stoppers on it, What's amazing, it looks like nobody wants to get that solved. And, why would that be? Because I think it's the girl. They know it's the girl murdered at the oil show parties that are happening in million-dollar underground homes here, right? And so let's move on. During this week, Angie, my friend, was leaving my home and going to the party, and we would talk on the phone while she drove there. She had a Bluetooth headset. It took about 5 minutes. So I knew the party's 5 minutes from my house. Based on evidence found, it appears that she was driving to the Midland Home Depot store, going underground somewhere over there, and then coming back to my home via a tunnel that could be seen on Google Earth, with the parties being held in the underground home said to be here by multiple people. So I'm giving you the 50,000-foot view. Here's my home right here, where I'm ambushed and shot by somebody under my home. It's believed the last homeowner was murdered here the week before the 2008 oil show starts, okay? In the backyard, if you go to Google Maps, you'll see there's a large building in the backyard on the map screen that can't be seen on the satellite screen. I believe that's one of the $4 million underground homes that I was told about, okay? Here's the big Home Depot store for Midland, and right behind it, if you zoom in, you can see, and that's why I'm showing you another picture here in a minute, where the asphalt was cut. Looks like where a tunnel was cut, aimed directly at my house, okay? So I know Angie would leave my home, and in 5 minutes, she would be wherever the party was. I believe she was parking in this parking lot, going in here somewhere, coming underground, and coming out this tunnel. And then the underground home's here. Possibly another underground home is in this vacant field over here, a half block away. Okay, that's on Westmont Court, home of a concho guy. Okay. And so I just want to show you that there was I was telling my story to a Home Depot clerk one day, and she told me, she says, if you ever see a lot of cars in the parking lot late at night, it's because we're stalking. And I hadn't asked that, hadn't thought about it, but, I can't see on the other side of the store from my house, but, it was a clue, what she's telling me, that the people that are going to the parties were parking there. And if anybody asks, oh, we're stalking, that's how come the whole parking lot's filled up with cars late at night. We're stalking. And I believe that's what that was, so I believe that's what was going on. The people at the oil show parties, that's how they were coming here via that tunnel. Okay, I showed DHS where I believe that tunnel that human trafficking murder tunnel was located on July 2nd, 2019, the same day that Pence turned around and flew back to Washington. I made a recent video about that. And 2 weeks later, the ground was dug up and concrete was poured there. I thought DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, was supposed to stop human trafficking and instead of assist with it. What if there was DNA evidence in that tunnel, okay? That little murdered girl's, I believe she used that tunnel. Well, I'm going to show you, here's a better picture here. You can see where the ground's cut, aimed directly at my house. That's where I believe the human trafficking murder tunnel is. That's where I showed DHS. Here's another screenshot of Ricky Ronaldo telling me that when he was a kid, that him and his brother used to go in the tunnels under my home. I had somebody the other day, which I suspect they're trying to cover up these murders and crimes. So, y'all, that's just hearsay. No, it wasn't hearsay. Buddy didn't say Ricky said that. Buddy has a screenshot of Ricky saying it. Facebook's going to have a record of Ricky saying it. Law enforcement can talk to Ricky about what he told me about tunnels here. Okay? It's not hearsay, And then all that is just trying to cover up murders as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, here they are. I was back here with Homeland Security, July 2nd, 2019. 2 weeks later, they're back there digging up the ground with a concrete truck pouring concrete, and I believe they were literally trying to cover up the human trafficking murder tunnel where that little girl was murdered at, and there's a lot more to that story, but that just leads you into this organized prostitution and how big and connected it is. Angie and I would talk on the phone during the evenings of the oil show, and at 11 p.m. she would put me on hold and go get her peel. Okay, they were systematically drugging these women, but that young girl didn't want to prostitute. Angie said that she didn't wake up. This was forced prostitution, and they murdered that girl who didn't want to prostitute. So I believe they overdosed her. Okay, Angie was afraid to report this murder and said that high-level police were also at those parties. Okay, as corroborating that, Sheriff candidate Joe Lozano, during the election for the Midland Sheriff last year, told me that the underground homes was the hideout for the late Sheriff Gary Painter on a secretly recorded phone call. That is a huge news story that our press hid from the public during an election. It could have swayed the election. I also suspect that some of the former secret police were there too. And the secret police is a nickname I gave to the police that were caught at my home minutes after I had survived a home invasion, premeditated capture and murder. I was ambushed and shot by somebody under my home with burglar alarms going off in the attic. It's now... Evidence was found in 2019, which I believe shows that 5 police officers, at least 5, were at or inside my home, and they wasn't seen arriving on the camera. That told me they were under my home, that the police had actually entered my home from a now removed trap door the ex-wife had already told me about, and from where we know I was shot from. The evidence is clear. I wasn't shot with my gun. I was shot from 2 inches above ground. Multiple people saying that there's tunnels and underground homes are here, and you got police inside my home, and they wasn't seen coming in the doors. It's pretty easy to figure out. It looks like police tried to murder me inside my home. That's a longer story than that. It took 6 years to get them identified. First one that showed up was a sheriff from a whole nother county. I mean, this whole thing is just one blatant, in-your-face, huge public corruption nightmare is what it is. Nobody should point the finger of blame at the other victims who didn't refuse, as they really had no other choice. Now, I'm talking about the girls at the party. Anybody that's a victim of human traffickers and is forced to prostitute, you shouldn't scoff down, point your finger of blame and shame because they're given a choice, do it or die. That's what I'm saying here. Because it's do it or die, and the people that are supposed to help them wasn't. And that's what I found too. Those people that's supposed to help me when somebody shoots me in my own home haven't helped me. And it don't matter how much evidence you have. They're working for the people breaking into homes and killing innocent people. That's what's going on. After the oil show was over, Angie told me that she was given $26,000 in cash, which she really needed, of course. My understanding is that she was required to work a schedule with others in the area doing prostitution tricks, and this was for a set length of time. It was organized prostitution. This wasn't a one-off, oh, a woman wants to serve her body and get money for supper, okay? This is organized crime, organized prostitution. Just like the little girl at the party, you break your contract, you die, okay? And who are you going to call? She was always getting strange phone calls from a pet store business who seemed to be the dispatcher, and what I suspected was this organized prostitution. These are all clues for law enforcement to go back and look at records and ask questions about. MLM businesses were used as a cover for this organized prostitution. I believe and that's MLM is multi-level marketing businesses. Okay, and here's some examples. She sold Scentsy candles and Premier jewelry, but I'm sure any of the many multi-level marketing business could do the same thing. The terms dropping off catalogs, house party, and uplink seem to have hidden meanings. These are legal businesses, and I'm not saying these companies were knowingly involved in this organized crime, okay? That'd be Mary Kay, Amway, there's hundreds of them. Keep in mind that I'd noticed this long before Nexium, NXIVM, was in the news as the famous MLM and cult that was engaged in sex trafficking, forced labor, and racketeering. But that did corroborate my story, okay, of what was going on here in Midland, Texas. This was national news, you know, forever, right? I mean, it was connected back up into a billionaire of a vodka manufacturer's, you know, money, the Brompham or whatever it is, you know. Here's Keith Raniere, one of the main players, and then some of the other names on the story. But here, just from Wikipedia, Nexium is an American cult that engaged in sex trafficking, forced labor, and racketeering while claiming to be a multi-level marketing company. MLM. That's what I'm saying, you know, and that's what I believe was going on here. Okay, and I was saying this before Nexium was in the news. I suspected that homes, which had been rigged like mine, with hidden underground access, and owners reporting people in the attic were being used for flop houses when the owner wasn't home. That's for prostitution tricks, you know. They've got to do their business somewhere. I remember Angie telling me one day, I'd wash those sheets if I was you, and which was odd. And the ex-wife had told me in 2011 that hidden cameras were installed in my home. I think it's very possible they were filming and then blackmailing their customers. It's called a honey trap, okay? And I played this hundreds of times. Basically,
burned down her home to get rid of someone who she claimed was in the attic.
And this is over and over and over and over. I've documented so many of these, I can't even count them all. There is so much evidence. And this is also a news story that was hidden from the public today. Actually, I posted on one of our reporters for News West 9, Sammy Steele, on her Facebook post because somebody, you know, made a snide comment about grammar or whatever. And I said, grammar ain't my problem with journalists. My problem with journalists is covering up crimes like that. Them are felonies. And, you know, and then hiding it from the public. Them are newsworthy. The public should know that after I'm ambushed and shot with burglar alarms in my attic, homeowners all over town have documented reporting people in the attic, and the city of Midland Police Department says nobody's ever reported people in the attic. That's a news story. You know, I care less about their grammar. I want them to warn the public about these violent and dangerous criminals, right? Back in 2012, I saw a former friend from my hometown of Hobbs, Mexico named Dana Tinley advertise on Facebook for people to work for her MLM company called Monavive. That's another company. This was a fruit juice in a wine bottle, okay? That ad seemed suspicious as she was saying that people who work for her can earn up to $160,000 a year along with winning prizes such as a cruise. They had put 150 couples on a cruise that left the weekend I was ambushed and shot by somebody under my home. I suspected that some of those people, those winners, flew out of Midland, Odessa. Some of these come out of my hometown of Hobbs, Mexico. The ex-wife told me in so many words that a lot of people were here when I shot, which meant they were in the underground home in the backyard. I wonder if some of those cruise winners were there, okay? And I don't know that, but I'm asking questions. Here's a post from Dana Tinley. It was dated January 27th. Once again, we can go to Facebook. Did she post that? I want to go on a cruise. 150 couples depart this weekend for a free cruise that they earned with Monavie, fruit juice in a bottle. Not to mention at least $50,000 on the side, and now new bonuses that can earn you up to $110,000 in bonuses this year on top of the compensation, $160,000. Now, that's a mouthful. You know, that seems like a very crude, nasty comment connected to prostitution, but what do I know, right? Do you want to be on the next cruise in July? Email me, inbox me, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, okay? So, 150 couples left off a cruise on the weekend that I'm ambushed and shot. That's one reason I found that, you know. I later found out that my daughter's mom left on a cruise on the same weekend that I was shot and left for dead inside my home. I wondered if this was a prize she had won while working for her friend Dana, you know. And here's the ex-wife, Shauna, the girl's mom, sent me this super hateful, slanderous, defamatory mail. And she never even talks to me. Do you not realize the pain you're putting your children through? Your paranoid delusion, posting them to the world to see? Right, is it paranoid delusions? What is that? Is that I have pictures of police I can't get identified for 6 years that I had to save up money? Is that what we're talking about? Or we're talking about homeowners all over the country reporting people in the attic after I'm ambushed and shot inside my home? Somebody tried to kill their dad inside his own home. And so that's highly suspicious. This, my daughter's mom, I suspect she knows something about the home invasion, premeditated capital murder attempt on my life. I just couldn't see how anybody, she went on a cruise the weekend I was shot. I just couldn't see how anybody could make that kind of money selling fruit juice to their friends. And I wondered if they were selling something else. Do you see what I'm talking about? I thought about Angie getting that $26,000 in cash going around town dropping off catalogs, you know. Of course, Dana said that this fruit juice would rid the body of all autoimmune diseases, which would include type 1 diabetes, lupus, and many other terminal illnesses. Let me read that again to you. Dana said this fruit juice would rid the body of all autoimmune diseases, which would include type 1 diabetes, lupus, and many other terminal illnesses. I remember telling my friend, Denise Bells Britt, that she needed to quit telling people that as somebody was going to die of one of those diseases and they could charge her with second-degree murder. It's not right to sell false hope to the sick and dying. See, I have an aunt that has MS. That's another autoimmune disease. And Dana's saying, you buy my product, it'll rid your body of MS, And I'm like, bullshit, that's a lie. People are dying of these diseases, And I'm going, 160,000 a year to sell fruit juice to your friends? What? That don't make any sense at all, But let her answer them questions how you do that, okay? But don't take my word for it, because she posted it, Dana Tinley, and will rid the body of all autoimmune diseases. And Denise Bells Britt here says, thanks, Dana, 100% true, And I wrote Denise, I've known her all my life, went to school with her, and I said, Denise, you need to quit telling people that stuff. They're going to send you to prison, I mean, somebody's going to die of one of these diseases, and thinking that they're going to be cured because of Dana's fruit juice. Right? And I even wrote to her, I said, are you sure this product cures AIDS, Dana? Because that's acquired immune deficiency disease, right? Dana Tinley selling the product that cures AIDS, right? And, I'm like, no, this whole thing is fishy, right? I mean, as far as I'm concerned. I posted this story before, and Dana's son, Chris Tenley, sent me a defamatory and threatening message before I blocked him. I wonder what he knows about underground parties. This is the son of Dana Tinley. Now, remember, she's the one that's saying her magic fruit juice can cure, all these diseases, rid the body of all these diseases. And he starts off, first, let me say that neither me nor my family would know you if we found you in our coffee. Does that sound like a threat? Sound like a threat to me, And a slander of our fine law enforcement officers, some of which were killed in line of duty. What he's talking about is Chad Simpson that murdered his wife, that we later found out was one of the secret police in my home. That's what he was talking about right there. He was talking about that murderer, Chad Simpson. I'm very well aware of your struggles. I used to work in the field and realize that disease is the driving factor of your behaviors. Okay, so here's the slander to cover up the capital crimes here, including the home invasion, murder attempt on my life, and goes on, you shot yourself. Okay, so I believe that Chris Tinley should be investigated, you know, and then here we go. I'm going to finish this as is normal. I'm not making any accusations because, you know, I'm just throwing the stuff out there. I didn't say Dana said. I took a screenshot of what she posted in the public, right? I didn't say Chris said. I got a screenshot of what Chris said, right? And you know, and I'm just trying to put this together, and we're trying to solve murders here, okay? As is normal. I'm not making any accusations, just stating facts and asking questions. Let's don't forget that the remains of a young girl was found outside of Midland, who's believed to be a homicide, 14 to 21 years old. Her murder should be investigated to the fullest. Can we all agree to that? And her killers are still free. Can we all agree to that? That could have been my daughter or yours. And this is the Crime Stoppers here that over and over and over I share, because I believe this is the young girl Angie told me about, and I believe it happened in the underground homes that multiple people said were here, including the sheriff's candidate, right, where it looks like one is in my backyard. It looks like the tunnel for it was covered up by DHS, okay? We need an investigation, folks. This is a homicide of a little girl. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. MLM and organized prostitution.